Guys, welcome back. I hope you all had a nice break. We have a lot of work to do. We continue now with the keynote workshop on the importance of theologically sensitive therapy, Jewish forgiveness. The workshop will be led by Professor Robert Enright, who will be joined by Dr. Yitzhak ben Yair. Yitzhak ben Yair is a rehabilitative criminologist, a lecturer at Tzfat Academic College, and the chair of the Research Center, Judaism-Based Social Sciences. His research deals with at-risk youth from ultra-Orthodox society, theoretical criminology, religion, and spirituality. Together with his partners, he developed spiritual Jewish criminology, therapeutic methods based on the Jewish scriptures. And Jewish forgiveness therapy is now implemented in the Returno therapeutic community. I am pleased to invite Professor Enright and Dr. Ben Yair to present their workshop.
I'm the guy that's running from place to place all this conference. So hi, hello, good afternoon everyone, and welcome to our workshop. I'm delighted to be here with you, and of course thank you all for coming here today. I hope you will enjoy the conference, maybe the workshop, and for our guests from abroad, I hope you will also enjoy beautiful Israel. It is stopped raining, so you can do it now. As you already told, my name is Yitzhak ben Yair, and for those who make it kind of difficult to pronounce the ha, you can call me Isaac if you want. My research addresses criminology, religion, and spirituality. It is guided by my conception that we can obtain unique theoretical and applied knowledge from the religious scriptures that mostly have been abandoned by the social sciences at the 18th and the 19th centuries. Now, Robert and I have prepared a workshop for you that is based, among other things, on our joint article we wrote together with Professor Nati Ronel. In fact, Jewish forgiveness therapy, as you see here at the headline, is the background for our joint research project. Together with Professor Nati Ronel, Professor Tomer Einat, and Mrs. Ayala Elbaz, hello. We're currently doing wonderful things at the Returno Therapeutic Community. It's a therapeutic community for addicts. It's near Jerusalem. Now, I've been involved in forgiveness therapy for several years now. I have trained the staff at Returno to work with this therapy, and they do it very successfully. And actually, we're already seeing very positive results with the participants. But unfortunately, I cannot expand on here. So, without any further ado, I would like to invite Professor Robert Enright to start our lecture. Thank you.
Thank you, Yitzhak, and thank you all for being here. As you might have recalled from my earlier talk, we talk about the difference between essence and existence for what forgiveness is and how it is expressed. Much of my work, as you can see where it says based on the 8 keys to forgiveness, is a book I wrote for Norton Publishers in New York City that talks about that process model that I went through with you very briefly this morning. That process model is deliberately neutral with regard to culture and regard to faith, deliberately done so that people can, in fact, put their own culture and put their own faith into the process model. We actually have already done work in Iran based on Quranic work with 8th grade students, and it worked out very, very well. We have worked with Orthodox believers, Christian Orthodox in Greece, and they have enculturated their stories, the Homer and the Iliad and the Odyssey, within their particular viewpoint. And so my challenge to you is, when you see something like our process model of forgiveness, don't be shy about enculturating it and making it a part of your own tradition. Today is an example of that, particularly within the Jewish tradition, but I also urge those of you of other faiths or different philosophical beliefs to think about putting into the existence of your culture, your belief, your faith, the basic tenets of how we go about forgiving. And so today we are going to be talking about the Jewish, because Natty and Yitzhak have done really deep work in bringing the process model into the Jewish tradition. Right? So let's now take a look here, and looks like it's not going to go for me. Okay.
Maybe this? It's the right one?
This, is that the one?
Again, it doesn't work?
We're going to have to forgive the technology again.
It's on. Ah, use the mouse.
Use the mouse. This one here?
No, the other one.
This one.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's take a look, first of all, at what we call the theological-sensitive therapy. Culture is a big deal. And so what we want to do is realize that we have to understand forgiveness within particular cultures, and that religion is a very important part of culture for many people. If it's not for others, then with regard to that sense of existence, we don't go there. But if in fact someone is enculturated with a particular faith, then we can deal with theologically sensitive issues, such as the Quran in Iran, such as Orthodox faith in Greece, in this case, in terms of the tradition of Jewish thought, which is our topic of today. Maimonides says this: this was the practice of the pious of the earlier generations. They would hear their shame and not answer. Furthermore, they would pardon and forgive the person who insulted them. Right there's the rationale. Why should I bother? The great Maimonides is telling us in the Mishnah Torah that we ought to take that very, very seriously. And what he's basically talking about is one slice of the Jewish belief that we might call relinquishment or pardon, which is actually the second part of our three aspects of the forgiveness definition that I presented earlier today. Remember what the three parts are. You've been treated unjustly by another, you get rid of the resentment, and then you offer goodness. Well, the getting rid of resentment does have its tradition, as you can read in Maimonides right here, of pardoning or relinquishing the negatives, what we call the unhealthy anger. That's very important in Jewish tradition. The relinquishment is focused on the past. Relinquishment is focused on our negative reaction to the past. But what about then the future? We need to go beyond relinquishment. And in Jewish tradition, there is a moving beyond simply getting rid of the negative. If you define forgiveness as simply not being angry anymore, you're not going deeply enough within Jewish tradition. You actually have to stretch yourself and go farther than that, because each person is special, unique, and irreplaceable. As I had said earlier in my talk before, made in the image and likeness of God, which means if we're made in the image and likeness of God, who are we as persons? Let's go to Maimonides again. For this reason, man was created alone in the world. This teaches us that a person who eliminates one soul from the world is considered as if he eliminated an entire world, because we're all connected, because we're all made in the image and likeness of God. Conversely, a person who saves one soul is considered as if he saved an entire world, because we are all connected. We are actually connected even to those who wound us, you see. And that's a very hard lesson, but again, Genesis describes that the one who hurt us is made in the image and likeness of God. But, as we can see here in the last bullet point, we're good by nature, whereas we have an evil inclination in Jewish tradition that is related to a more materialist tendency and self-centeredness that seems to form, so to speak, at the time of birth when soul encounters body, and now we are prone to sin. And that's why we can hurt others and why we really need that relinquishment, you see. But it goes even deeper in terms of Jewish theology. There is mercy. We don't just get rid of something, and we don't try to just see people as made in the image and likeness of God. How do we react? How do people in the Jewish culture react when they have been treated unfairly by others? What is the learned tradition of that? And it's mercy, extending justice by giving individuals more than what they deserve. Okay? That's what's hard about forgiveness in the Jewish tradition and the monotheistic traditions themselves. Again, let's read Genesis 2:4, quoting, "At first God intended to create it, the world, to be placed under the attribute or the rule of strict justice. You get what you deserve. That's the virtue of justice. But he realized that the world could not thus endure, because you and I sin against God and we offend against others, and therefore gave precedence to divine mercy, giving us less than what we deserve, in that sense, if we deserve punishment, and more than we deserve by giving us love." Okay? It is to this that what is written in Genesis 2:4. Compassion is the practice that brings us closer to our fellow human beings, because we are made in the image and likeness of God, pulling us beyond the boundaries of ourself. Reaching out to others is the challenge in Jewish tradition. Okay? Pulling us beyond the boundaries of ourself and enabling us to identify with the other and consider him or her a human being even as a friend. Because this idea of being made in the image and likeness of God, the other has a connection to you that is very, very deep. And then we have the huge challenge, which would go back to the essence of what forgiveness is, that would be very hard for any human being to reach when you've been brutalized by others, which is to try as best you can to love those who are not loving you. And how do we know that? Leviticus 19:18. Which really needs to be pondered by those walking in the Jewish faith. Listen to it. It's very simple but profound. Love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Wow. All right? That is a very high bar, but that's what I like about it in the Jewish tradition. They have actually showed us the way of the highest form of forgiveness. The highest form of forgiveness is to do your best to try and love the other who is not loving you through a broken heart. All right? And if it's hard to do, what I like about the Jewish tradition is it gives you a rationale for doing it. It's existed for thousands of years and been preserved. Think about that. Look at those few words. How many words are there? They've been preserved for thousands of years. And this kind of love in the Jewish tradition is connected with giving. Giving even when it's hard. Right? The idea of the suffering servant in Isaiah shows us that. The suffering servant for others, that's part of Jewish tradition. And for those who know the Jewish scriptures, that acts as rationale for raising the bar in how far you're going to go in the essence of forgiveness. It's not just getting rid of the negative. It's not just focusing on the past and clearing it up. It's going beyond that, person to person, okay? The idea of meeting the other person to person is very, very important in Jewish philosophy. Okay, Dessler says, as a rule, that which one gives another will not be lost to him. That's the idea of love being eternal. Rather, it is the expansion of oneself. Think about that. Your humanity expands when you love the other. For he shall feel that he too partakes with his friend, the one whom he has given. That is the kinship between man and the other, to which we refer as love. What is the Jewish tradition saying? You actually expand your humanity by giving to the other, and you give to the other because the Lord has commanded it in Leviticus 19:18. And as you do that, you literally grow in your humanity. You see, in Judaism, humanity is just not on one particular level. Humanity can actually go up and down, where you can become more human, more of a person. How? As you give to other persons, even those who hurt you. That's the high bar of Judaism, and I applaud that because it's giving us a light that the world needs to hear. Now, how do you go about the process model of forgiving with the Jewish tradition laid upon that process model? I'm going to turn that over to Yitzhak because he knows more about it than I do.
Thank you. Me again. Thank you, Robert. Thank you. It's actually, it's a great honor to conduct this workshop with you. Although I'm a bit old in academy, I'm proud to be your student. I learn a lot from you about forgiveness, so thank you. Before we begin, I would like to note that this joint exercise is based among other things, on Enright's guided private reflection on the Jewish scriptures, as well as on guided imagery therapy. Now I ask you, or I urge you, to cooperate as much as you can. And more importantly, if there is anyone here who thinks that they are in no need of forgiving, please think again. Every day, every hour, we're required to forgive someone, so there are no innocent people here. And just for example, you may have to forgive me for my English, that most of which I learned from The Simpsons. So, let us get a little bit more practical. So, this exercise is for 3 phases. We have 3 phases. The first phase is a thinking exercise, and then we will do 2 phases of guided imagery therapy. So, let us start. Please choose one event where you were hurt by another person. It could be this day, this week, 20 years ago. Think. But please do not choose the ones at the top of your list, not the ones with the gold medal, maybe the ones with the silver medal. This is only for exercise. And let us think. Who hurt you? And how deeply were you hurt? What was the event like? How did it feel? What were the circumstances at the time? Did you respond? How did you respond? If you respond at all. Now, we're not going to dwell on this. Instead, we're going to look what happened afterwards. We're going to look at the effects. Now, and some of us are still carrying these effects. And again, let us think together. Are you carrying any shame or guilt? Maybe anger or sadness? Have you faced your feelings? Most of the time we think that we don't have to forgive someone, but most of the time we do. Have you avoided dealing with those feelings? Have you been in denial about the pain that you're carrying in your heart? And denial is a wonderful defense mechanism. It helps us to cope with life, function as usual. But when we use it too much or for too long, it is not for our benefit. And this is one of the most important criteria. Have you been obsessed with the offense or with the offender? Have you thought about this event today, last week, last month, last year? Has the injury permanently changed your life? And sometimes we become more bitter or more aggressive towards others, at home, with our friends. Has the injury changed your worldview or the way you perceive humans? Sometimes we lose trust in people, and sometimes we think badly about others. Now, please rate the intensity of your negative feelings from a 1 to 10 scale. You can do it in your mind, you can do it in your phone, but please do it. And before we start our journey, we will read the forgiveness prayer. And there is one. It's new. And it is based on an ancient Jewish prayer that is recited every night before going to bed. And think how amazing it is that the sages have realized that just as we need to clean our body, to take a shower, we must also cleanse ourselves mentally every night. Let us pray. And of course, God, as you understand God. Dear God, behold, I forgive and pardon anyone who angered me or antagonized me or who sinned against me, whether relating to my body or my money or my honor or anything that belongs to me, whether then accidentally or willingly, unintentionally or intentionally, whether with words or whether with actions. And may no person be punished because of me. May it be your will that I will not sin again, and what I have sinned erase with your abundant mercy, however not through suffering. May the expression of my mouth and the thoughts of my heart find favor before you. Amen. And we will start the second phase of guided imagery therapy, so fasten your seat belts. We're going to start. Leave your computers, your phones, eyes on me for now. Please sit comfortably in your chairs and start relaxing your body. Take some deep breath. I like the 747. 7 seconds you breathe in, 4 seconds you hold the air inside, and 7 more seconds you exhale. So let us start. Take a few deep breaths, relax your muscles. Most of the time we're very alert, so let your muscles loose. Pay attention to your face muscles, your shoulders, your chest, your hands, your hips, your legs. Relax. Let your eyes closed. Go ahead. Let your eyes close. If it's kind of difficult for you, you can focus on this picture. But it's mostly ideal to close your eyes. Try to devote yourself to this process. Feel your body sink into the chair. Now go ahead and breathe naturally. Please try to remember a time in your life when someone reached out to you when you were suffering. When someone loved you unconditionally. Who is this person? What did that person do to comfort you? Use your senses to amplify your experience. Look down, look up, look at your surroundings. Who is with you? Can you smell that person? Can you feel him? Can you feel his touch? How did it feel when it happened? Now take 2 or 3 deep breaths. Try to feel this love. Try to absorb it. It will be your companion in this journey. And with those feelings, think about the importance of forgiveness and decide to forgive. If you find it kind of difficult, just try to refrain from the negative. And we will let this scene fade out. And let us return to the person who hurt you. I want you to try and imagine this person's life history. What was his or her life like as a baby? And babies are innocent, helpless. Try to imagine this person as a baby. Babies need warm love, care. And try to imagine this person's life when he was a teenager. As an adult, when we're young, we get hurt by a lot of people, our teachers, our family. Who hurt this person who hurt you? What caused that person's heart to be filled with the resentments that eventually transferred to you? An injustice that you didn't deserve. I want you to try and see this person first as a human being, and then as a wounded human being, like all of us. And keep going and imagine this person's life history. And remember, we're not looking for excuses for this behavior. What this person did to you was unfair and will always remain unfair. And continue to imagine his life history. Remember the clearer vision that we talked about. You both share inherent worth. You're both human beings. You both bleed and you will both die. Each of you is unique, special, and irreplaceable. You share a common humanity. And I know it is difficult sometimes to see the worth of the person who hurt you, but this is for our own good. And if you're spiritually oriented, as Robert says, is this person like you, created in God's image? Feel your heart soften a bit. Allow yourself to feel some compassion. And let this scene again fade out. Turn around in your imagination. You will see a door in front of you. You can imagine this door the way you wish. It's a big door. And when you will open this door, you will go for a walk in one of your favorite landscapes. Maybe the forest, maybe the beach, maybe the park, the river. And use your senses to enhance your experience. Is it day? Is it night? What do you see in your surroundings? Are you alone? Is there people with you? Can you smell the air? Don't forget to breathe. And as you walk, you will notice that you're carrying a very heavy bag on your back. And you start to slowing. You're moving slow. This bag is heavy. This bag is the pain that you've been carrying since this unjust event. And not only this event. And I challenge you to stand with the pain. I challenge you to carry this pain. This is your promise to the world. This is your promise to those you love. You will carry the pain and won't pass it forward. You're stronger than you ever thought you are. You're standing with this pain for the sake of others. And I want you to notice that as longer you bravely carry this bag, the lighter it becomes. Now keep walking. I want you to look for a hiding place. It could be a cave, it could be under a tree, maybe behind a rock. And when you will find this place, take off the bag. Put it there. Leave it in this hiding place. Just for now. You can go back and take it whenever you wish. But just for now, take off and put it over there. And now see how light you suddenly are. You're smiling. You feel a little bit more happy. You can run. You can jump. You can actually touch the clouds. You feel warm. Know in your heart that your suffering has made you better. Perhaps more sensitive to the suffering of others. Now you are stronger. You can find meaning in your suffering. You can find that meaning in the beauty of creation, and you can find that meaning in giving to others. Now, please try to absorb this sense of meaning and hope for the present and the future, which are full of unconditional love for every human being. And you can try and imagine a little dot of light inside your body. And this dot is starting to spread in your body. This is light and warm. And you feel it spreading all over your body. And you see yourself glowing, smiling. This is freedom. You are free now. And with those feelings, I ask you to come back to us. Into the hall, feel the chair, be aware to my voice. And those who close their eyes, please, you can slowly open them. Hi. Thank you. So this is not finished yet. Now, Robert will continue with our forgiveness legacy.
It seems that if we take a look at who we are and where we're going from the lens of Judaism, it seems that we need to have a legacy of the I-thou relationship of Martin Buber. Many of you may know Martin Buber as a Jewish philosopher, and he was very big on the I-thou relationship, which means meeting everybody else person to person. And what he really means by that, person to person, is since we're all made in the image and likeness of God, when you're dealing with any other human being, you're dealing with someone profound. Can you imagine what the world would be like if you and I started putting on our glasses of the I-thou relationship and beginning to see others through the idea of person-to-person communication rather than, oh, that person is simply a coworker of mine, or that person is a cashier at the drugstore, or that is just a child. But each person with whom you come into contact is a very, very, very special person in the I-thou relationship. If you take the Jewish perspective, it has laid that foundation for you to bring that to everyone with whom you have an encounter, so that those to whom you give the idea of the I-thou relationship can give it to others. Do you think that would help in the Middle East a little bit? If all of us really started seeing everybody else through the glasses of the I-thou relationship? That is my challenge to you with regard to legacy. Of course, putting more love in the world is also a Jewish tradition from Leviticus, right? To love your neighbor as yourself. Will the I-thou relationship be your legacy that you can pass on to others, with the I-thou relationship filled with trying to love others and trying to love others who aren't very lovable? Okay? So that really is my challenge to you, because it's a challenge I am getting from Jewish tradition. Thank you, Martin Buber, for enlightening me to the importance of the I-thou relationship that I hope is your legacy.
Thank you, Robert. I will say something only for concluding. This is almost the end. So first of all, thank you for your cooperation. You know, mostly when we when we speak about forgiveness, it is for me, it is for the other. In my humble opinion, the highest stage of forgiveness to which one should strive is that where forgiveness is not only for the sake of the offended person who is freed from resentments, and nor only for the offending person. Forgiveness is a lot bigger than us. And of course, it's for all of us. A forgiven and forgiven world is simply a better world. So, thank you for your cooperation and thank you for listening. It was a pleasure. Thank you.